My name is Robin Wood. My married name is Karowski. And I'm a 10th generation native on my mother's side from Rock Hall. They were born and raised in Piney Neck. On my father's side, I'm an 8th generation Rock Hall native from Eastern Neck Island. So 7 generations of my family were born down on Eastern Neck Island. My mother's people came to Piney Neck in the 1600s from England. I'm assuming that my ancestors had a lot of farming and fishing in their lives in England because I think they transferred it to their life here in Rock Hall. At first it was mostly farming, but my mother's side of the family got into the water business eventually.
My name is Burgess Tucker. I was born in 1924. Born in right in the town of Rock Hall. My father had just built this garage and an apartment over top of the garage, and I was born there the first year that they moved there. And I've been in Rock Hall ever since.
When someone says the waterman to me, it means to me our life, and certainly what my life and many of ours has been in Rock Hall and the Eastern Shore. And it's just not the men, but it's the women and the families. It means, literally in my lifetime, there has been no point in my life where the water industry hasn't touched it, or one of my family, one of my friends hasn't been involved in it, owned a business, was a waterman, was a waterwoman, or worked in one of the industries that supported that business.
Rock Hall has always been a waterman's town, and the watermen here made a good living here. They've enjoyed it, and I guess most of them have lived their whole life right here in Rock Hall on the water, crabbing, oystering, fishing.
My favorite story, I'm going to say is, well, from my mother's side, it's certainly that she lived near her grandparents, and she was able to live and play at their seafood business in Piney Neck. They helped with, the crabs and the oysters, but they played a lot, and they got to go out on the boats, and they got to, hear the shuckers and the crab pickers sing. That's a fond recollection of theirs. My grandmother would also tell me that when the fishermen and the seine haulers came around Eastern Neck Island, either to crab or fish, they would stay on the beach in front of their house at Spencer Hall. And they would bring some seafood up to eat. But my grandmother would tell me that it was not uncommon for her to go out into the hen house or the chicken house, and they would prepare 6 or 8 chickens for everybody to eat. The watermen would come up to the house, and the farmers would come in from the fields, and they would just have a really lovely evening.
They had oyster houses right here on the beach, and they hired people here. And during the oyster season, it was a busy time. On a couple of these streets here, they had big piles of oysters that they had shucked here, and they piled them up there, and the certain times the smell from these oysters wasn't too pleasant, but we got used to it, and we knew that without the oysters, that meant a business for the people that bought them and shucked them, and it was something that we needed to do for livelihood of a lot of people.
On Rock Hall Harbor, there were a couple seafood processing plants established back in the 20s, and what they did there was they would pick crabs, shuck oysters, process clams, and even turtles. But another really beautiful thing was that the people that worked in the processing plants had beautiful voices, and they would sing the most beautiful hymns while they were working. And you could come down to the harbor and you could just roll your window down or walk by and you could hear these beautiful voices coming out of the seafood processing plants singing these beautiful hymns. And there, in fact, was a man that owned one of the processing plants I believe it was the 1930s, and there was a folk festival in Washington, D.C., and he took his employees over and they recorded them, and that recording is, archived, so you can still hear the beautiful voices and the songs that they sang.
When I was growing up, the boats here were entirely different from what they are today. Well, at the beginning, when the oarsmen went out, they had hand tongs that they hoisted by hand. They raised them up and down, and but today they had machines to raising the tongs up out of the water, and everything has changed. As these things improved, why they got machines to put these nets overboard and pull them in, and makes it so much easier.
This special attachment that we have to the water and the earth in Rock Hall is due to the fact that we rely on those elements, those things, to sustain us, to bring us comfort, and for the most part never change. That's what I think. I think that even though things are changing, those two things will never change. We'll always have the water and the land here. I just would hope that living in Rock Hall and working in Rock Hall and being in Rock Hall will be as special to the next generations and families who may come here and may live here as it has been to those of us that have been here all our lives, and our families go back many generations. When you reach the Eastern Shore, I think everybody, whether you live here all your life or not, a visitor, anyone, you get an immediate sense of welcome and comfort and support, and a slower pace. People enjoy the beauty, the nature, the simplicity, and the lifestyle.
Born and raised in Rock Hall, and I hope I can die here in Rock Hall, because it's been a great part of my life, and my family and all have been here, and I don't know of any place that I'd rather be than here in Rock Hall.